And then one other one, we have to add the AFM mastication agreement. It's just part of the contract that was passed earlier, but it was a separate deal, so we put it in front of you. So tonight's consent agenda is checks and EFTs as follows. Accounts payable checks 17176 to 17187 in the amount of $9,931.04. And the May ACH accounts payable is in the amount of $12,288.85. Payroll for June 5th, 2021 in the amount of $20,688.24. And then we have the minutes from our last May 25th, 2021 meeting.
Move to pass the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor, council, say aye.
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 Anybody that's opposed, say nay and your name, please. Okay, we'll move on to our administrative reports. And as always, I'd like to start with the police chief, who is on. Chief Bland.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I do have the stats in May, and it shows that in May we put 211 hours patrol in Roslyn. So far this year, through the end of May, that total hours is 1,089. Just to cut it back to May, we handled 83 calls for the city of Roslyn. And we've noticed that your tourist population is picking up already this summer. Roslyn was really busy this last couple of weekends, so we've been spending a little bit more time up there. No major problems. Nothing major has happened, just your typical parking, speeding, that type of thing. So that's all good news. Roslyn picked up 2 more people. My wife and I live in Roslyn temporarily for now. So,
Yay.
It's been very welcoming and glad to be there.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anything else, Chief Bland?
For county, for Memorial Day weekend is the hot spot. There's really not a lot going on in Lower County. So I believe that the State Patrol put an emphasis on 903, and this is done where the population is. So that's where the majority of the calls are coming in, et cetera. So it came into the area, which is very well received by us.
Yeah, I bet. It seemed like the public was pleased as well. Any questions, council? Okay, thanks, Chief Bland. We can move on to the fire department. Do we have Chief Oshatis or any officers that want to speak tonight?
This is Chris. I don't think Sky was able to make it tonight. We just had a couple things. We really want to thank Public Works for fixing some of the plumbing in the station that had been leaking for over 2 to 3 years and could never get addressed. And those guys came in and in no time flat had it all fixed. So big thanks to Bubba and Big Jim and Kyle for taking care of that. And then our fuels crew has officially started. So if anybody sees them out and about, please say hello and thank them. They last week we finished cutting out the Domery water line, so that entire line now is clear.
Welcome to WebEx.
Easily
Enter
walk
your
from one
access
end,
code or meeting number.
from the bridge all the way up to the intake pond. So that's about it. Our new truck should be here by
Enter your attendee ID.
July 31st, the new engine that the bond paid for. And then I believe Mayor should have a letter from Paul Schmidt, Dr. Schmidt, about
Yes, that's right, Chris, and I believe that council has seen the letter, or I hope that you guys have had a chance to read it over. There was 3 grants that Paul Schmidt has.
I'll make a motion to accept all 3 grants. Yeah, so moved. Thanks, Jeff. My audio? Mic check for Nolan.
It's in Umatilla. Yeah. You never know. Cool. Alright, I'll talk to you later. Cool.
Grants acquired have been accepted by council. I appreciate that. Thanks, guys.
Great.
Okay, next up will be the committees. Councilmember Adams, do you have anything from the cemetery group?
Nothing with the cemetery group. I'll just, give you a quick synopsis of the other weekend. We did the dedication for the new Italian monument that was postponed last year. And it was a fantastic event. I'm not sure we expected as many people as they received, but we were somewhere around 125, I bet, to 150.
To keep the money from the logging in the forest. The resolution that was on the agenda today also included a request to have CAC designate the projects. And I don't know if that is part of the resolution that is already in existence. And if not, I do think we should actually consider the resolution.
You know, Kathy, I'm totally for that. We'll pull it out, and if it's not on there, then we'll bring it in front of council with that added. That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Anything from the planning and historic preservation group?
No, besides just the regular architectural design reviews and the preliminary site analysis, they've been working on those, several of the codes. So they have another special meeting this Thursday, that will go over, and focus, I think it's on the master plan development, but don't quote me on that. I can't remember off the top of my head. So they will be working on that. So they've been working through those slowly but surely. I think we've got 4 on there. So it'd be the lighting, the lighting, master plan development. I think the wildfire one is one they've kind of been looking at, and then the accessory dwelling unit one.
Councilmember Missile, anything to add?
We made some real good progress on the lighting or on the lighting code at the last special meeting we had. So, but the one, Michelle is right. The one Thursday we were talking about the master plan development, and they pulled together lots of information on that. It's a really good group working really hard, and really appreciate their efforts.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Next up, we've got any boards. So if there's somebody.
I want to thank the Roslyn Fire Department fuels crew for coming out that day and helping us spread it. That was kind of picked the hottest day of the summer so far, but it went well. As Chris mentioned, the fuels crew has started clearing more brush on the upper part of the transmission main. I got all the signposts, and we're going to be working on getting the no plow, no grading signs here in the next weeks installed. Also, I want to continue on getting all the blue delineators spread through Suncadia, and then heading up to Domry also. Crew's been doing some irrigation work at the parks. They repaired the leak in the valve box beyond the backstop at Rungy Field. They've also been repairing and replacing broken sprinklers throughout the parks while keeping everything watered. Cleaned up and weed-eated the Welcome to Roslyn sign for the weekend, and we're going to kind of keep that weed-eated and knocked down. And we had those American flags for the holiday weekends. Continue painting fire hydrants on South 1st Street and then towards North 1st. And we've got a few prepped on 2nd Street, thanks to the fuels crew again for doing some volunteer work. That was last Friday afternoon, I think. sink in the fire hall is fixed. Big Jim did a good job. Got that all done. Also want to thank Nolan for bringing the inland bucket truck up and helping us get that City Hall flagpole fixed before the weekend. That was nice of you. We're also starting to prep curbs for the yellow paint downtown, so you'll see us out and about, cleaning, weed eating, flat shoveling sand, rocks away. So the rest of the yellow paint is planned on being painted downtown before the 4th of July, so everything will look good. We'll also be starting the grader up again. It's kind of randomly, but we want to keep grading alleys throughout town throughout summer. And then also just routine maintenance of the parks and cemetery all week, change your waters and mowing, keep those looking good. So that's pretty much all I have, unless you guys have any questions.
I would, but I'm muted. I'm muted.
Councilmember Adams, you have anything to add?
I'm muted.
Public Works crew is just knocking it out of the ballpark. I mean, there's nothing, even our meetings have gotten a little bit easier. Just progress is being made, and I mean, it's just, we've had good meetings. I think Nolan's our chair. I can let him speak to it, but
I'm trying.
no, I couldn't be happier at the Public Works crew and how they've worked and done their due diligence, and some of the parks and the maintenance have just not been to this level in several years. And it's just really nice to see the pride. And it looked like we might have had a volunteer worker cleaning even sidewalk curbs last week with some protection. I'm not sure if that was a community service or not, but I remember seeing that years ago, and I hadn't seen that happen for a while. So that was actually nice to see. He made a lot of progress. It's just, all I can say is everything's great right now.
Awesome. I'm finally unmuted. Sorry, and not sorry to those. Oh, it's okay. I thought it was my computer, and yeah, thanks, Bubba. The park looks awesome now with the bark, so awesome job on just taking care of that, and yeah, keep up the great work. I'll keep it short, but yeah, great job, Bubba. In the public works, sorry, we didn't meet this last, today we were supposed to meet, and it was all my fault. I called Michelle on Monday and let her know that I had a prior meeting with getting my flag or my forklift certification. So that was my apologies. So we will have our first monthly or one a month public works meeting the beginning of July. So we did state that last month, but we will move that to the first, what is it? The 13th of July. So.
Hey, no offense, Nolan, but we had the meeting anyway without you.
Well, perfect. Awesome then. I bet it was a good one.
Sorry, Nolan.
No, I'm glad you did.
Okay, and just, I guess it's just an FYI. Sarah and I talked about getting some kind of budget retreat put forward. Obviously, Jeff and Kathy are going to call the ball, and Sarah will be in contact with them this week, and then we will figure out the easiest way to take care of this. We may do it like we did last year, where we just do it an hour before council for a month or whatever, or maybe we'll just have a weekend day or something, depending on what the governor really says at the beginning of this next month. So that is on the radar, so don't worry, it's coming up. Okay, next up we've got announcements, presentations. I'm actually going to flip the order here and let Corinne Craven go first, and we'll put the 47 Degrees North after that. So, Corinne, are you on?
Yes, hold on. I will.
I think she's got some slides.
Hi, yes, I am here. I'm here. How are you guys? Hello,
Good.
Mayor,
We can.
Hello.
council, community members. Thank you for giving me this time. I wanted to just kind of share an event that the Forest Service and my family and the other families have been invited, and at this point they are not interested in remembering the 30 Mile Fire and the tragic loss of their loved ones in a public event. We're hoping they will change. We certainly want to remember them. I have a little presentation, so do I just hit the share button? Can you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, what is that? Sending my video.
We can see you now. So if you just hit the share at the bottom, then it should share content.
Okay. Sorry.
No, you're
I'm
fine.
very experienced in Teams.
Oh.
This is gonna take me just a minute here. Okay, you might want to go to someone else for just a minute.
I think Tom's is going to be kind of lengthy. So,
Can you send the link to Michelle and see if she could?
yeah, if you want to email it to me, Corinne, I can put it up on the screen for you, and then you can just talk through it. Is it a PowerPoint or what is it?
Yeah, it's a PowerPoint. Okay. So do I unshare? What do I do? Sorry.
Yeah, just stop sharing. There should be on the top of your screen. You should say a little thing that says "Stop sharing." Not sure why it's not letting you.
I'm not sharing my screen right now, am I?
Nope.
No, you're
We
not.
can see you.
Okay.
We can see you, but that's it.
Okay, let me try.
And you can just send it to I don't know which email you have, but the clerk email is fine, whichever one you have.
Okay.
Oh, now I see your screen.
Okay, there you go.
Yep.
There we go. There we go. Oh, okay.
Oh, perfect.
Here we go. Okay, so it will be the 20-year anniversary of the 30 Mile Fire, and you know, it was a tragic event for firefighters around the country, around the world, and for families directly affected by this. And so we want to remember each person who tragically lost their life, and that was Tom, my brother, Karen Fitzpatrick, Devin Weaver, and Jessica Johnson. So my father, that fall and spring created a memorial, and not just for my brother, but for all four. And we often find little tokens and things left for all of the firefighters there. We've seen friends of the Fitzpatricks and Jessica Johnson up there saying that they stop by on their way when they're traveling. The fire and the tragic event happened in Winthrop, and that's about 4 hours away from here, and it's about 6 hours away from Yakima. So they were very pleased that they could stop and remember people more frequently. So the proposed event is on July 10th around 5 p.m. The four firefighters died around 4:45 in the afternoon of July 10th. We anticipate 100 to 200 people, about 45 to 60 minutes. It'll be around the Roslyn Mount Olivet Black Cemetery. We'll have some speakers, friends and family, United States Forest Service. The sole survivor who was there in the same area of that tragic burn, Jason Emhoff, will be there. Wildland Firefighter Foundation will be there, local government officials. So why we feel this is important to the community of Roslyn, but the community of, you know, Kittitas County, of Washington, and of firefighters at large. You know, my father is a historic figure here in Roslyn and in the state. And the memorial is a tribute to the firefighters. And my father, who could have just built something for himself or for my brother, understands that it wasn't just his loss. It was the loss of all of the people that day, and wanted to memorialize them and symbolize that tragic day, and not to just have a place that would be resembling sadness, but a place that would inspire some positivity and happiness and a little peace for those who were close and those who knew and remember that day and where they might have been. So it's a large masonry display. Hundreds of people came to pay tribute to the fallen firefighters with mementos and things, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, so the proposed setup is to close a section of the cemetery road right past Mount Olivet, and then a safe place for people to remember without worrying about traffic. And Jeff, I think you mentioned, you know, that was something that you had noticed with the previous events that had taken place these past weekends.
It was, yeah.
And the cemetery is on a hill, you know, and it makes it hard for the elderly individuals with disabilities to participate. It allows for better egress and ingress. So what we proposed was to put a small stage on the street, a podium, a few speakers and chairs, audio, including speakers and microphones, and 100 to 200 chairs. We also want to make sure that people are able to stay for as long as they feel, and it will take probably around 45 minutes to an hour, and we feel that might be too long for some people, and we don't want anyone to not be able to celebrate the lives of these 4 firefighters. So here is just kind of that picture. So the detour road allows for access still. We have the main parking, and then we have the Mount Olivet. So just this little section for about 3 hours. So probably about an hour before, and then an hour for cleanup.
Sorry, just to interrupt really quick. Are you guys looking at putting detour signs in Ronald?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Corinne, I'll work with you on your plan after I experience this weekend. So let's you and I talk this week, and I'll help you get set up with the Public Works Director. We've already sort of talked about Tommy's event, the event coming up, and we've got a pretty good plan for you so we can block all that off. And it's definitely needed to block it off for public safety. So let's you and I get together and we'll discuss your plan with you.
Hey, and Jeff and Corinne, this is the mayor.
Great.
This is the mayor, real quick. Bubba said he's going to get a hold of Chuck Reed too, and see if we can get some, bigger county signs to help out there a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then, is there any questions?
Have we talked to the county about closing that road or detouring that road?
I can tell Chuck that. I
Okay.
don't think Dewey,
We haven't, but we will.
Can we also let Suncadia know? Or never mind. Yeah, because they technically, I think, have an easement to that Fan House Road. Can we just let them know, just to give them a heads up? I know they can go Ronald too, but I just letting all of our neighbors know what we're doing.
Yeah, that's fine, Nolan.
Yeah, Nolan, when we did it this weekend, Nolan, we directed them up to the one-way at the cemetery, so there was still a path to Roslyn, and we designated a person at the road. And we experienced this weekend that we didn't plan on shutting the road at all and had to with the event. and it went great. And we had people at each opening, so we could open it for an emergency egress if emergency vehicles needed to get by. But with public safety, there's no way we could allow traffic with the amount of people that will be there.
Yep.
So.
No, this is a great idea. I fully support it, and whatever we can do to help, let us know.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions? No? All right. Well, thank you guys for this opportunity. Look forward to seeing you all there, and have a fantastic rest of your work week and your meeting.
Thank you, Corinne.
Thank you, Corinne.
Thank you.
All right, our next presentation is going to be on the 47 Degrees North project in Cle Elum. I believe Tommy Wren. We're looking through the list here, Tom.
So, try that.
Okay, I think I got connectivity.
There we go, I can hear you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for letting me give this presentation of one citizen's perspective of 47 Degrees North. As most of you know, or some of you know, I've been following this project from almost the very beginning. It's pushing 2 years now, or will be this fall. And it's a pretty significant project, and as some of you know, especially some of the Suncadia consultants that are on the meeting right now know, I have a pretty strong background in land use. And so I just felt that it was an opportunity to help the community by being able to interpret some of the documents and the processes that are going on, because it can get pretty complicated. And, you know, the process for a project of this size is more of a marathon than a sprint. And folks that aren't familiar with the process, you know, they just kind of get worn out. You know, it goes on and on and on. But, you know, using that marathon analogy, we're at the last mile at this point. And so the reason for me wanting to talk to you is to update the council on where we're at, what the opportunities are for providing comment and input are from here on, and some of the aspects of the project that I'm pretty concerned about. I think the opportunities coming up are, you know, they're kind of the last stop, and if they're not utilized, and if the city doesn't weigh in or citizens don't weigh in, that opportunity will be lost forever. So as you probably know, I provided some information to council in packets. The information gives it's based on information that came out of the EIS. It's marked draft, and the reason why it's marked draft is because the formal application has not been submitted by the applicant yet. So there's a possibility that the applicant will address some of the significant impacts that are out there, and that this information that I've provided will have to be altered. And so until that time, until we see the application, which is, according to the city's information that I received today, is imminent. It could happen any time now. Until we get that, we'll have to go with the information that's in the EIS. I'm going to focus mostly on process tonight, because that's the most important thing, is where we're at, which is, you know, where we are, what comes next, what opportunities do people have to comment. But I have to make some answer to the question of, you know, why am I even here? Why are we here? Why are we talking about this? And the reason is because if I could describe this project in 2 words, those words would be massive and unprecedented, at least for our region. The project, as is currently proposed, is composed of two parts. One, a manufactured home community, which by itself is about 1.5 times the size of Roslyn. And it's all manufactured homes. The second portion, which is an RV resort, is by itself 1.5 times the size of Roslyn. All RVs. So in the project as is proposed is to have essentially 3 Roslyns right next to Roslyn. And it will increase the population of the Clay Elm, South Clay Elm, Roslyn area by double, essentially. Maybe somewhat less, 180%, something like that. But as you can imagine, all of the infrastructure, now I'm not even talking about the infrastructure on the Sun Communities site, on the Bullfrog Flats site, but the exterior infrastructure, if you will, which is police, fire, schools, hospital, emergency services, waste removal, all of those things are essentially going to have to increase by 50% to 100%. In other words, nearly double. The only exception being the schools, because the portion that's manufactured housing is only half of the site, and they currently don't envision children from the RV resort. But nevertheless, that's a lot of infrastructure, and it's going to cost a lot of money to upgrade that infrastructure. I mean, forgetting the fact that just that sheer size, what impacts it's going to have, the costs are incredible. And as you'll see in the pack that I provided some excerpts from the project EIS on the finances. You'll see that the project, as it's currently proposed, has an assessed value and generates taxes that are significantly less than what was envisioned by the city when they approved the concept back in 2002. So you have all of these costs to make all of these improvements, and then you have at half or less the amount of tax revenue coming in. There's only one way to make up that shortfall, and that's by increasing taxes on everybody else. And the financial analysis in the EIS essentially admits as much. So that's a huge impact, and that's all in the packet that I provided. You can take a look at it. Traffic, of course, is going to be incredible. In the packet, I provided some excerpts from the traffic analysis in the EIS. It shows all of the intersections that are going to be completely congested, going to unacceptable levels of service. All of those intersections are going to require, significant improvements, multiple new lanes, signals, all of those improvements, maybe, multiple turn lanes at intersections. And so far, the proposal to fund those is for the developer to pay a small, what's called proportional share of the improvements needed. So, which means that the remainder of the cost is going to have to be funded by the general public. And so once again, we're talking about increased costs and increased taxes. I would point your attention to that traffic analysis to the impact on Roslyn as a whole. And you can see that the congestion on Pennsylvania is going to get a lot worse. And the analysis that was done in the EIS does not include peak holiday or festival weekends, which will act as a draw for sure. The Bullfrog Flats project with the RV folks that are recreating here and the manufactured houses, Roslyn, just like Roslyn became for Suncadia, is going to be a huge draw for these folks because of how our town is configured. And so that extra traffic was not analyzed in EIS. I mean, to be honest with you, we're looking at total gridlock because we're adding 3 Roslyns. We're doubling the size of the region. Enough on the impacts. We can, I can go on. You can have questions, contact me. I'll walk you through things in a better way, maybe, or a more detailed way. But focusing on process from now on, where we're going. So what has been concluded is the project environmental studies, the studies that look at what the impacts of the project are going to be, and potential mitigations for those impacts. The next stage of the project will be, or of the process will be, for the developer to submit an application that will provide maybe some of the missing details on the project. In a best case scenario, the developer comes in and says, you know what, we've seen all those impacts in the EIS, and we're going to pay for everything. We're not going to have any impacts on you guys. We're going to make bigger buffers along Bullfrog. We're going to alter the road patterns. We're going to do this project. We're going to completely change it and make it so it's has less impacts. We're going to reduce the size or whatever. That's I'm surprised I didn't get a laugh there. That's a little bit unlikely. Probably not going to happen. But nevertheless, we can't be certain until we see that application. When that application is made, then it goes to the city, and when they deem it complete, there's going to be a notice period, and where people can comment and provide input to the city staff. The city staff is going to write a report, and they're going to provide a recommendation. And they're going to have three options. They're going to have a recommendation to deny, a recommendation to approve, or a recommendation to approve with conditions, i.e., you have to build this intersection, you have to do this, contribute to the school district, or whatever conditions the city comes up with to mitigate the impacts. The third option, approval with conditions, is the most likely. And so that's where the importance of us commenting, and when I say us, I mean also jurisdictions. I think it's incredibly important that jurisdictions who are going to be affected directly weigh in, as well as the general public. So myself and some of the folks I'm working with, we're working to contact local jurisdictions, Roslyn in this case, to make a request that the cities review the data, review what they think are the most significant impacts, and make a decision to comment directly to the city. Because at this point, I believe the city doesn't really have a clear idea of what Roslyn's official position is. I know it's difficult for a city to take that action because, you wouldn't want Cle Elum telling you what to do. You perceive they wouldn't want you telling them what to do. But in this particular case, with the impacts as significant as they are, I think it's really important for the city to weigh in. And as I said, we're working to try to get other jurisdictions to do the same. Like the hospital district, for instance. Their budgets are going to be significantly impacted because the amount of money they're going to be getting is significantly less than was anticipated. And so that money's going to have to come from somewhere. And it's hospital, roads, everything. It's either going to be a reduction in service standards, i.e. more congestion, slower response times, or it's going to be more taxes to fund expansions. And so it's important that these jurisdictions let the city know, so that when the city is looking at this project and reviewing it and determining whether to approve it, how to approve it, that they get the full picture of how the region feels about this. So that would be my request for the Roslyn City Council to consider this and consider what you can comment on and what you can say to the city of Cle Elum. Following the planning department's recommendation, it's the project approval is going to go to the planning commission for the city of Cle Elum. There's a chance that it may go to a hearing examiner. The city's considering whether to use an independent hearing examiner in this matter. it's iffy if they're going to do that. It's not certain. Right now, it's going to go to the Planning Commission. There'll be a public hearing, which will be another opportunity to comment. And then and they'll make a recommendation, which could be different than the Planning Department's recommendation. And then it will go to the Cle Elum City Council. And the City Council will then have another hearing at which they'll take testimony, and then they'll render a decision. So that's the last mile of this marathon. This is where the rubber meets the road, and opportunities to get the project altered or reconfigured so that it doesn't severely impact our region are going to be telescoped down to this period of time, which is going to be over the next 30 to 120 days, depending upon when the applicant submits their application. So I think that there's a decent chance of getting this project modified or significantly conditioned so that it's acceptable. When I say decent chance, I don't mean it's a certainty by any means. I don't want to sugarcoat that. There's already a conceptual development plan approved for this site, and the applicant and the applicant's consultants have focused on the aspects of comparison where their proposal seems to have the same or less impacts than what's already approved. And so that's, kind of the hurdle to cross. But as you'll see in the information I provided, there are some significant differences between what's proposed with the manufactured housing and the RV resort and what was originally conceptually approved by the city. So some of the major goals that the city was looking for when they incorporated this area into the city in 2002 are not being achieved by the Sun Communities proposal. In terms of the vision that was there. Of course, that's my opinion, but it seems pretty clear to me. And I think that provides an avenue to allow the city to be more, if they want to be more aggressive in how they look at this proposal. Because it's not simply just switching one for another. There are significant differences that have to be addressed. And I think that's a way, if the city of Cle Elum chooses to look at this project. But it's up to us, I think, to encourage them to look at this project the right way, knowing what an impact it's going to have on our overall community up here. And that's my ask of the city. The way I look at it is there's no certainty that we can get this project modified. That's up to the city of Cle Elum. But we have to try, because if we don't, over the next 10, 20 years, we're going to be driving by this and go, why didn't we try to do something? And at least we'll be able to talk to ourselves and our kids and go, we did our best. We tried to get this thing modified so that it fit in somehow. So that kind of is a thumbnail sketch. I know many of you, very well, and others I'm just getting to know well. Feel free to call me if you want to talk, or if you have any questions. I've read through most of the EIS. I can't possibly recite it chapter and verse, but I have a pretty good idea where to look if you have questions on specific things. So thanks for the opportunity. And, when I get, when the application is submitted, I'll go public on Facebook, and I'll let everybody know what the status is, highlight the comment period so everybody's on top of it, and I'll keep going until the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for all that info and all your homework.
You're welcome.
And council, not that you haven't already, but make sure you look through the different documents that he put together. It's quite eye-opening.
Yep.
Okay, let's move forward to the citizen comments period. I'll just take them in order here. I'd like to remind the citizens that we ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. And first up is Kristen Carnes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for allowing me to comment. I'm concerned about the Roslyn Wooden Forest lobbyist receipts being spent on the forest itself and having the CAC make those recommendations, and pleased to hear your support for that. And I wanted to make sure that I got you. Did you
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. It sounds like you're moving in that direction.
Absolutely.
Right, thank you.
Okay, appreciate the comment. Next up is Glenn Rudolph.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, Glenn.
Okay. I'm wondering how we're doing on the grants, getting grants for the water transmission line. I'm curious. We started, found out a month ago we were starting the process. I'm just wondering how far along is our engineer, getting grant applications in. I think these agencies actually have webinars to assist the process. So and if I'm sure if these got any questions, they could just call them up and get some help. Anyway, I'm curious. I want our transmission line replaced as soon as possible. So thank you very much. That's about all I got to say today. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Glenn. Next up this afternoon is Ellie Ballou.
Ellie, if you can push *3, I think that's you on the phone that, oh, just a second here. Gosh, I just muted her again. Gosh dang it. Sorry, Ellie. There, okay. She's unmuted.
Ellie, you're unmuted now.
I'm showing as unmuted on here, but I don't hear her. We'll try it again.
Well, we can come back to you, and maybe even you could just speak after your husband if we go next to Doug Kilgore.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Ellie Ballou, 145 Fifth Street. First of all, I'd like to point out that the Planning Commission meeting mentioned for Thursday, there's no notice of that on the website nor in support materials. Secondly, I would like to once again object to the practice of not posting the supporting documents for a meeting until after the deadline to make written comments. There are numerous examples of this tonight, including there's no text for the Roslyn Urban Forest resolution. Any of the interlocal agreement with Kittitas was not posted. The fire grants information was not posted. The logging income was not posted, etc. I don't think this is good government. I asked questions in April to the council and have not heard from them. I still would like to have an answer as to why this makes for a proper meeting. My other comment relates to the paid parking contract information that was presented at the last meeting. I think that the council should direct the Planning and Historical Preservation Commission to consider and organize information on this at an overview level to speak to the tourist and visitor parking needs, the residents' downtown retail parking access, and possible solutions addressing downtown business requirements to provide on-site parking. I thought it was not appropriate that the council has not provided any consideration of Alex Bogart's proposal to use a code that's there, 18130.020, in terms of voluntary payments in lieu of off-street parking, to consider some more creative options geographically to how to address parking. I also would like to point out that I have asked the city planner, and I have tried to, there's no way for the public to contact CAC members. There's no roster posted anywhere. There's no emails posted anywhere. And I was directed by staff that I need to do that as part of a public comment at a CAC meeting. And I don't think that's appropriate. I also asked about the city, who's taking notes on the meeting, and got a cordial email from our librarian, who it turns out is now assisting the clerk. And my concern with that is I don't understand the staffing. I don't think anyone in Roslyn understands what the city staffing is. I thought we had a city clerk and a planner. Now we have a librarian who's also an assistant clerk. I don't know how that's funded. I don't know if the council's aware of that. So I, again, don't think this is the kind of governance that we deserve. And I believe that's my comments for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Next up is Doug Kilgore.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Doug.
Thank you. Doug Kilgore, 145 5th Street here in Roslyn. My comment concerns the filling of the vacant council position. To my understanding, Councilmember Hadfield resigned effective April 30th, and the council has to date taken no action to fill this post. I understand that there are applicants available and willing to be considered. If the council doesn't take action within 90 days, it will lose its ability to fill this position. Meanwhile, to allow the council to continue with an unfilled position unjustifiably strengthens the power of each existing sitting council member whose voting power is thereby increased unjustifiably. So I would ask the council to take action at its next meeting to interview and act on the applications of volunteers for this position. Secondly, I wanted to concur with the comments of Ellie Ballou. Thirdly, with respect to 47 degrees north, I asked the council to consider the matter of the wastewater treatment system that we are a part of. And in the 2017 capacity analysis that the City of Cle Elum produced for its wastewater treatment system and sewer system, it claims to have received all of the hookups that were allocated for what is now considered the 47 degree north project. Nevertheless, in my public information request to the City of Cle Elum, there is no document showing that these hookups have been transferred. Meanwhile, the City of Cle Elum has offered these hookups to members within the city, and our hookups are being, to a large extent, occluded unless this transfer has actually occurred. But as I said, I can find no documentation that it has occurred, and I ask that the city wake up to this, conduct its due diligence. It's a party to this agreement, and to my knowledge, it has not been monitoring how these hookups are assigned. Now, if Suncadia does transfer the hookups to the City of Cle Elum, then they will have what they need to do their own development. They probably won't have what they need to supply 47 degrees north, and we will probably retain the hookups that we have. But all of this is at risk due to lack of due diligence, in my opinion, on the part of our city and other cities that are a party to this agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. And last up this evening, we have Janine Brodeen.
Good evening. Thank you for this time. I've actually been asked to speak on behalf of Susan and Doug Johnson, who were not able to be here. But before I do that, I want to thank Tommy for his very thorough and clear explanation of the issues presenting us about 47 degrees north. So Susan and Doug Johnson, 317 South 3rd Street Alley. We appreciate the city's resolution to allow funds raised by logging to be directly and clearly allocated Robin Early Forest on projects designated by the CAC. Number 2, Roslyn Water is an irreplaceable and essential asset to the health of our community. We urge you to do all that you can to preserve our water system sourced in Domery Creek. Our 100-year-old transmission line must be repaired and maintained with vigilant care and expertise. We support Joe Peck's submission and appreciate the history and needs and costs that he has expressed, and urge people to really listen to him and man water system using the expertise of his experience. And thirdly, they also want to support that she just made about the issue of parking, asking the council direct the Planning Historical Preservation Commission to consider and make specific recommendations to the council about parking in Roslyn, not just paid parking, but the whole parking issue, which is a very large concern to many of us. And they also ask the commission's consideration include public meetings to allow residents to participate. We as residents have ideas and suggestions that need to be considered and are affected by a daily basis by this issue. They ask that the commission's consideration include specifics, including tourist visitor parking needs for downtown and recreation, residents downtown retail parking, including the post office, and possible solutions addressing downtown business requirements to provide off-street parking. Thank you so much. Those are the extent of Susan and Doug's comments. Thank you for this time on my behalf and their behalf.
Thank you, Janine. Okay, we're going to move on to new business today. First up is the Firefighter Day proclamation. Years ago, I believe that year, Mayor Porter had set aside the 10th of July as Firefighters Day in recognition of the patriotic service and dedicated efforts of our fire personnel. The fire department asked as a 20-year anniversary that we do this again. I've actually taken one more step further, and I'm not going to put a year on it. I'm just going to, the proclamation that I gave, I'm putting in front of you today for a motion, just makes the 10th of July Firefighter Day in Roslyn in perpetuity. So we don't need to do this every year. We certainly can talk about it and acknowledge and honor it every year, but I don't feel like you guys need to vote on it every year. So the proclamation I put in front is making the 10th of July Firefighter Day in recognition of the patriotic service and dedicated efforts of our fire personnel from here on. Can I get a motion?
As moved, Councilmember Weiss.
I second.
Any discussion here, council? All in favor of this proclamation, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed, say nay. And your name. Next up, we have an interlocal agreement between the City of Roslyn and the City of Kittitas. It's kind of a bookkeeping thing, but there were some updates to the cost that we share with the City of Kittitas. We have a more close relationship with them as Bubba's brother works for the Public Works there. So it's, like I said, it's kind of a bookwork thing, and if we can get a motion to approve this agreement, please.
Make the motion approved.
Second.
Any discussion here, council? All the costs and everything are in there, so all in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed, say nay in your name. Then the last, I guess, business that we have today before council concerns is the professional services agreement with AFM for the mastication. It's the final step to, them doing the cleanups. It also puts the June 30th deadline on this project. So there's a lot of positive here. I apologize that we didn't have it sooner, but it was DNR requirements and the monies that we got from DNR that put this end date on it, which required part of this. If I can get a motion to pass this professional services agreement.
Let's make a motion to move the service agreement forward with AFM.
Second, Councilmember Weiss.
Discussion here, council? All in favor of this agreement, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed, say nay in your name, please. Okay, to end the evening, we've got the council concerns and initiatives. I'll just start off here. To Mr. Rudolph's comments, the engineer has been moving forward on at least 2 different funding sources for the pipeline, and one of them is the Public Works funding source that Mr. Rudolph brought before us, and we appreciate that. And the other one was the loan that we've been working on, especially through all the suggestions by Mr. Peck and others. I have asked him to do a presentation. He has them in percentage kind of things, like 35% and 15% kind of thing, and where he stands. He is going to be presenting for Public Works Committee and Council in the near future. I don't know if we're going to have it. Maybe it'll be the Public Works Committee 1st of July, and maybe the full council presentation in the second council meeting in July. On the parking, from Ms. Ballou and the Johnsons going to historical and planning, I really don't have a problem with that, assuming that they don't have too much going on as it is. I'll have our planner, and we can discuss it with them, and if that is appropriate and that's something they want to take on and it makes sense, we absolutely could do something like that. On Mr. Kilgore's comment about the council people, yes, May 1st is when it started, and then the application period just closed like the 4th or the 5th. So this is the first meeting since we actually closed that. We were able today to get the 3 applications to all of council, and I told council that we would discuss that at the next council meeting. And again, as Mr. Kilgore pointed out, we do have 90 days to fill this, but I have a feeling it won't take much more than, if not next council meeting, the following one. It's just a matter of picking questions, and the format is really difficult. We can't put people in the library like we have in the past, and so we're looking at, how we're going to do this with the computers, but we will do this. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, I just, or after whoever that was, sorry.
Yeah, that was Mayor.
Oh, so I just have one. I think it's with the parking signs. I would like to keep that with Public Works. It's fine with the Planning and Historical Committee, but again, we're looking at the 4 signs in the downtown area, which I think with the Public Works and our committee and the City Council, I don't think we need, no offense, more government to look at this. We just need to come to a decision if we're going to do it or not going to do it, what's feasible, what's not feasible. And I think between Public Works, Jeff, Derek, and I, and the rest of City Council, I think we can figure this out and not kick this down the road and wait until September and winter, and then all of a sudden we're back to next summer talking about it. So I'd like to keep that on our agenda for Public Works, and I'd like to keep that on the agenda of the City Council to get this ball rolling if it's going to roll. Because again, I think 4 parking signs down in the Pennsylvania, or even 2, would be beneficial, especially if we're going to be getting a little bit of money that's coming to the City Council that we don't really have to do anything except for put 2 signs up and double check the website every once in a while. So I think we're just putting way too much effort into a simple solution or a simple thing. So that's just going to be my 2 cents with the parking signs, or the paid for parking. Later on, after the pilot program is all done and the 2 signs, or let's just say we go with something in Pennsylvania, maybe down the road when we look at other areas around town, let's talk with Planning and Historical. But I think Planning and Historical do have a lot on their plate, which we don't need to add little things like this, which I think our committee and our council can figure these out.
I second Nolan's comments. With the master plan, the lighting plan, all the development coming, the Architectural Design Committee has plenty on their table to take care of one day a month that they're working on with their volunteerism. I know they have a great group of people right now with tons of experience, so I'm looking forward to the master plan work and the lighting work to get finalized. And this is sort of where Public Works has already started down this road with Leo Hadfield on the suggestion of this project with the pilot program, and already right now I could already see, with Nolan and I, we already have some disagreements on where we think signage should go. I have sort of a different perspective where I see signings to start. And I think the best thing is we take our group and we bring recommendations to city council and public, and we will look at those recommendations in different phasing areas. And we'll do this as a team together. We'll just bring the recommendations to council for everybody to look at.
This is Kathy. I have 3 things that I'd like to comment on. First off, the parking. I think that the issue here is not whether or not Public Works can do a good job, but the issue is more that citizens are actually pretty interested in this process, and there is a precedent for Planning and Historic Preservation Commission holding public meetings to discuss issues. So I would actually be very much in favor of that. Second, the mayor, when you were talking about getting the engineer to report out about the progress of the loans, that it could be either to the Public Works Committee or to the council, I'd really like to hear it in council. I can't attend Public Works Committee meetings because that turns it into a quorum, and that's a problem. So I want to hear it, and I think other people in the community want to hear it. I'd really like to hear that from the engineer. And lastly, this afternoon I got a message, and I think probably the planner and the mayor did as well, from Kim Schreier's office. They are holding a workshop this Friday at 12:30, and it will discuss water and wastewater project funding. And they are going to include federal and state agency officials to talk about grants and loans. We would need to RSVP. I want to make sure somebody from the city is there. I can go if you'd like me to go, or anyone else from the city, but we really need to get that information. So let's do it. Thanks.
Absolutely, Kathy, and I've asked Michelle to do it. But if you'd like to do it as well, it's not like we're only allowed one person with Representative Schreier's group.
Well, she's the email I got said to share widely, which I
exactly.
So if I can attend too, I'd like to do that.
I would. You absolutely can, and I encourage you.
Okay, thank you.
And Michelle will be going as well.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, on the engineer thing, I said it was going to be both, but I mean, we can just do it, council. It's no big deal. Theo's ready for this. We probably could have done it this one, but maybe I'll just put it. We'll see how much is on the agenda for the next one. If it's light, then I'll put it on that one. Otherwise, I'll put it as the first one in July. He is moving forward, though.
I have a quick question. I mean, I don't care if it comes through council or the committee, but I take those comments from Kathy that you don't trust Public Works would bring the information to council. Because typically that's what committees do. We get the recommendations and we bring it to council. We wouldn't hide anything. We would bring exactly what the engineer said. So I take those comments a little bit sensitively.
Okay, I'm sorry if you misunderstood what I was saying. I had no intention of disparaging anyone. I am not allowed to go to the Public Works Committee meetings, and I do want to know what's going on. And I do appreciate your bringing the information forward.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I had a misunderstanding, but it appeared that you didn't trust us to bring the information forward.
No.
And I would suggest next time when we do pick commissions, join the Public Works. There was an opportunity to do it. I trust admin that they have full potential on making great decisions, and that's where we leave it. And now we have Public Work. I feel the same way. I just am kind of blown away that we don't even use our commissions anymore like we used to. It's more of let's just bring them to city council or kind of hand it off to something else. I don't whatever though. I'm good on that. I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting if there's nothing else.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned, council. Thank you.